Thank you, Mr. President. I must say I actually appreciate how you commemorate those on whose shoulders we are standing. It's very nice. Thank you very much for electing me into this wonderful academy. And let me briefly say a few words about myself. My parents came from what's today Poland and Russian parts of former Germany in Silesia and East Prussia. I studied at the University of Bonn agriculture, so about plants, animals, engineering. My doctoral research then was in economics, applied economics. So I built demographic economic models supposedly predicting how many farmers there would be in Germany, in which districts and so on. So modeling of structural change. After that, I moved on to what I really was interested in for quite some time, that is addressing issues of development. I lived in Egypt for a couple of years, modeling River Nile and what would happen to water use and land use if that state-planned economy would become more market-oriented in those days. I'm talking about early 1980s. And then I spent some time in Washington at an institute which I later became Director General of. It's called the International Food Policy Research Institute. I got increasingly interested in the relationship between access and availability of food, technology, and what policy can do about addressing hunger. So I had a large research program in about 8 countries on the relationships between technology and nutrition. So that was research which combined health, so weighing children and assessing their health. I lived with my family, including then small children, in a village in Africa and moved around between various African countries and Central America. Weighing children, their health, assessing the impacts of technology on these households and communities, trying to find clues on what to do better. So it was defining the research agenda more from the problem-solving research, applied research. Some of you may recall the major famine events in Ethiopia in the mid-1980s that stimulated me to do a long-term research program on Sudan and Ethiopia's hunger crises. I felt one needs to understand these problems from within, so I shuttled back and forth between Sudan and Ethiopia for quite some time. And there's a book which is unfortunately still relevant and in print on famines in Africa. I got academically deeply involved in an international association of our profession of agricultural economists, the Association of Agricultural Economists, which was actually founded by a certain Lord Elmhurst upon suggestion by an Indian philosopher and writer, Rabindranath Tagore, a Nobel laureate. So it's interesting to note that a philosopher told some early agricultural economists in the 1920s of the last century, you people better form some association which addresses the food, agriculture, and hunger problems. And So I was president, vice president, etc. of that association, which gave me access to a global community of researchers addressing these issues. When I was until 3 years ago, Director General of the International Food Policy Research Institute, a major, the leading research institute on addressing problems of poverty and hunger in low-income countries, I got deeply involved in trying to explain and address solutions in the last world food crisis of 2007 and 2008. Modeling work which the teams around me had done had predicted in 2005 that things would go awfully wrong. Policymakers actually listened to that in China, so at meetings with the Chinese Prime Minister, the Indian Prime Minister, but less so in the rich world. Listening to predictions came late and action came even later. But I learned in that crisis situation that as an academic and researcher we also have to communicate. Otherwise, damage control and the impact of our work is too limited. So I gave speeches at the United Nations, the Davos World Economic Forums, and all media channels you can think of. And that of course also diverts one from good research. It is a double-edged sword. But I enjoy being back to university and more to academia at the University of Bonn, where I'm leading the Center for Development Research, an institute of multidisciplinary characteristics, which has 120 doctoral students and about 70 postdocs working on ecological and natural resource issues, on economic and technological change, and on political and cultural change. Those are the names of the 3 departments of my institute. I'm married with Barbara von Braun, and we have 3 daughters, wonderful daughters, married since 36 years, and I look forward to work with you. Thank you.